Good morning. We're gonna try something today. I don't know how it's gonna work, but we're gonna see how well it works on video. Today is day 35, completed day 34 for my no bread habit. Boom. How's everybody else doing? Good to hear. So look at this picture. Look at that picture. I'll show it to you again in a little bit, but I just want you to think about that picture while we talk. So yesterday we talked about character ethics versus personality ethics, and we talked about how Stephen Covey realized how his personality ethics were affecting how he was relating to his son. And just to be clear, communication, influence, positive mindset, they're not bad. Right? Those are good things to have, good communication skills, to be influential to others, especially if you're influential in a positive way, and having a positive mindset are good. They're just not the foundation. He describes in the book, it's like trying to cram a farm. So if you're trying to do all the secondary habits, the secondary items first before you've built that foundation, it's like skipping spring planting, having a great time all summer, not doing anything to tend to the farm, and then come fall, cramming it all in, planting, tending to the crops, and harvesting all at the same time. Actually, we had this happen at our house with our compost pile. We're throwing some stuff into the compost, and crazy enough, a vine began to grow out of it towards the end of summer, and something started growing on that vine, and I had no idea what it was. We cut it open. That's another YouTube video. But point being, when we opened it, whatever it was wasn't ripe, and it just showed that we had not given it the time that was necessary to be given in order to harvest the crops. So William George Jordan is quoted in the book here. I'm going to read this to you. Into the hands of every individual is given a marvelous power for good or for evil, the silent, unconscious, unseen influence of his life. This is simply the constant radiation of what man really is, not what he pretends to be. I thought that was a great quote to go into this section. So the 7 habits embody many of the fundamental principles that we should be portraying in our lives. They represent the internalization of these correct principles. Stephen Covey describes a simple way to understand these paradigm shifts, or these paradigms, as a map. He says that the 7 principles are paradigms of how that we're viewing ourselves. And so these paradigms in our lives are basically a map. And even a map is just a perspective, right? It zeroes in on certain aspects. Like there's a whole bunch of different varieties of maps out there. There's street maps, there's, maps that give you the rivers and the topography, elevations, all sorts of different maps that exist out there. And so our maps that are in our head are how we're perceiving the territory around us. The map is not the territory. There is a territory, and there's the map that we look at in order to figure out how to navigate that territory. So let's take it a different way. Let's say there was an error at the print shop, and you go to visit Chicago, and while you're in Chicago, you pull out your Chicago map to try to find your destination. Obviously, we're all using GPS right now, but let's pretend that Waze and Google Maps are wrong. So in our GPS and in these maps, we actually have a map of Michigan. And so we're trying to get to a street in Chicago using a map of Michigan. And so as we travel down these maps, we keep going to the wrong place. Now we can work on our behavior. And as we work on our behavior, we're going to try harder. We're going to be more systematic. We're going to work faster. And we're still going to be lost because we're not using the right map. We can work on our attitude. And by the time we get lost, we'll be really, really happy about it. But we're using the wrong map. So fundamentally, the problem is we've got the wrong map. Each of us has many maps in our head. And We've got our maps of reality. That's the way that things are, right? We've talked before about the filter that we see things through. So we have our reality, what we see, and what we think things really are. Another way I've described this in the past when teaching in front of classes is think of a dog. Any dog, just think of a dog. And then I'll have the class describe that dog. And if there's 30 people in the class, 25 of them are thinking of different dogs. Like if I think of a dog, I think of a chocolate lab. What were you thinking about? Right? It's usually a different dog. And so that's my reality. If somebody says my dog, like the first thing that pops into my head is my dog. And the first thing that pops into your head might be your dog or your family's dog or your friend's dog, whatever dog it is that is the first thing, or maybe a dog that bit you, right? Like our feelings on dogs are going to be different. So we have maps of our realities, and we also have maps of our values. And the values are the way that things should be. So we might see something that doesn't necessarily align with our reality, and that's our value map saying, I wish this had changed. Somebody's speeding down the street and you get angry at them. Somebody that rolls through a stop sign. Somebody that you think or you're perceiving is lying about something. So we'll take those value maps and build them onto our reality. And those are a couple different maps that we face. So looking back at our picture here. Again, this was the picture. So staring at that picture, what do you see? Okay, now let's look at this picture. What do you see? Now, what if I were to tell you that this is an old lady? It really is. It's an old lady. Keep looking. I know. Many of you are sitting here looking at this picture saying, Jeff, this is a young woman. She's got her head turned. She's a bit demure. She's fashionable with her head wrap and her feather. It's a young woman. No, I'm telling you, this is an old lady. Do you see it yet? Keep looking. How about now? Right? Did you see that? How about now? Little nose or big nose? So our perceptions will change our view of reality. So in a Harvard Business School class, half the class was given that picture first. And the other half were given this picture first. They were told to look at the pictures for 10 seconds and then hand them back in. And then they put up onto the screen this picture, which actually just combines the two. It's an overlay of the two pictures together. And they asked the class to debate on what they saw. So they had somebody talking about seeing the young woman and fighting with the person that saw the old lady. The majority of the people saw what they were given to see in the first place. So if looking at an image for 10 seconds can affect your version of reality that much, how well do you think our lives has affected our perception of reality? So Stephen Covey starts going into the 7 habits with this thought, saying that these paradigms are what we all live on, and most of us need a paradigm shift in order to start developing these 7 habits into our lives. Hopefully this was fun today. I had fun thinking about how I was going to introduce this to you. And if you haven't commented on the section yet, don't give it away. But definitely, I hope you've already looked at the pictures on Facebook and made your guess as to what the picture looked like ahead of time. Again, feel free to share this group. Feel free to share in the group. Share your own videos of success. Share your own calendar pictures. I'd love to have more people chit-chatting in our group, so that way we can all support each other in ways that need to be done. If you're having a struggle, you need some accountability, I've said it before, you all are my accountability. There's been a beautiful looking apple Danish sitting on our counter for 2 days. I love apple Danish and cheese Danish and blueberry Danish and raspberry Danish. I love Danish and I haven't had a piece. And I know that it is because I cannot get onto this video the next day and tell you all that I failed. If I knew that I didn't have to come here and tell you about what is happening in my habit life for this, I guarantee I would have had a bite of that Danish this morning because it looked delicious. So thank you for holding me accountable and tell me how we can help you. Have a great day, everybody.